Hey, good morning, Supratinda.
Good morning.
To all the audience, we are just waiting for a few more minutes. We have started the live before the time, and we are waiting for our chief guest to appear, so that we will start today's episode within next few minutes.
Hi.
Hi, Kishan. Hi.
Is the audio
Yes, yes.
okay?
You're absolutely
Cool.
audible.
Cool.
So we have Kishan with us in our one of the first few lives that we'll be doing in the run-up to our second edition of Coast to Crest, as many of you have participated last year in 2023. So in 2024, this year also, we are organizing the race on 28th of December. That is the last weekend of the year. So that would be the fixed date and fixed weekend for such an ultra cycle race in West Bengal, India. It will start from Digha and it will end in Darjeeling. So just to give you a brief idea, it's an 830-kilometer race. And you can always go to our website and check all the details. Registration has already started. So coming back to our live with Kishan. Kishan, can you just tell me, because we won't take much of your time. We know that you are a very busy man. You are a software engineer as well as an ultra cyclist. You have been doing ultra cycling for years. So can you just tell us about your journey? How did you start ultra cycling? And what motivated you to come to ultra cycling?
Okay, so there is no big motivation for ultra cycling, but I think I started back in 2016. So I started with mountain biking first. I did like district and state level mountain biking, but I was not good at that. So in search of something new, I just found brevis and got addicted with that. And later on, from last year, I started into the racing category. Till then, I was just doing some breves and kind of odex kind of events. But yeah, that's a brief journey of mine.
Okay, since you are talking about your races, what's the best race that you have ever attempted in the last, 5-6 years since you started in 2016?
Okay. So as I say, like I just started racing last year. Obviously, TCR being my biggest race.
Okay.
TCR is kind of best memory so far.
So those who are not aware of TCR, I hope that our audience, whoever is there, everyone knows what transcontinental race is all about. But we want to hear a bit about the race from Kishan. How did you prepare for the race? And he has been, as many of you know, that TCR is the solo self-supported ride, and it's a backpacking ride. You won't have any crew, right, Kishan?
Yep, right, correct.
Unlike Race Across America and other crew-supported races, you will have only solo self-supported races, and it's 4,000 kilometers across Europe.
Yeah.
It's starting from Norway and ends in Greece, right? So can you just tell us a bit about your experience at TCR?
Yeah. So let me just correct a bit. So TCR is kind of a race where the start point and end point keep changing every year.
Right.
So it's not like a start point and end point. So every year they define the start point, end point, and then there are 4 different control points in between. You have to design your own route. That's kind of biggest challenge out there for this kind of races. And yeah, so that's a brief about TCR. Yeah.
So how did you prepare for the race, and what was your experience?
So I heard about TCR back in 2019 when I was, when I went for PBP there in 2019, right? And at that time, the Fiona Kolbinger was a female rider who just won the TCR. And she was also, after finishing the TCR, she was riding PBP. So that the kind of a buzz out there in the entire ultra cycling community. From there, I picked up the TCR, and since then it was my kind of a dream to ride that kind of race. And in 2022, I kind of gathered my courage and registered for it. And so for preparation, I think more than just physical preparation, there are a lot of other things. Let's say, as I say, like route planning is a major challenge out there, because you have to
Right.
do a lot of work on that. And as a first timer, it's kind of too much work to do. So it's for example, just I spend more than 100 hours just to plan my route. So it's kind of too much work to. Other than that, logistically also, so race starts at one point, finishes at one point. So if you're traveling here from India, you have to go just one pair of clothes there, right?
Right.
Because the finish, and then just you have to manage like that. And about like, it's kind of totally unsupported format races. So even at control points, organizers are not going to provide you any kind of support. You are on your own, stamp your brevet card. So for my preparation, most of if I just divide in major chunks, it was the physical preparation as usual, the cycling part, right? The cycling training, indoor training, etc. And other logistics, like I had planned my journey very in detailed. Let's say at which time I'm going to land there at in Brussels, and when I'm going to, how I'm going to go at start point, where I'm going to stay. So all this kind of preparation were done for this kind of races.
Yeah, it's quite tough, no doubt about that, especially the planning as well as execution. Right. And can you just tell us about that? What do you think, that self-supported rides are better or crew-supported rides?
So I'm a firm believer of unsupported format riding. So just to give you a brief idea, so the thought about getting a bicycle was on the 5th June of 2016, right? So that was environmental day, and I really wanted to commute by bicycle to my office, and that was the reason I was going to buy a bicycle. So that is deeply rooted, in my thought process, that supported format races, emits a lot of, you have a lot of vehicles on the road along with racers, etc., etc. So I believe that unsupported format races is good for planet as well. And I think there is, there are a lot of unsupported races. Why supported races? So for me, it's unsupported is preferable.
Okay, so practically what happened in last year also in coast to crest race, most of our cyclists were unsupported. They are all solo self-supported riders. So it was a kind of a brave as well as a race. It was of course an RQ race. So we also think that in India, in such conditions, we can encourage people to go with self-supported ones. Okay, so
Definitely.
and what do you think? What's the future of ultra cycling races in India? Since we are talking about India right now.
So just to give you an idea, like recently I did Gates of Heaven Breve, right? The 1200-kilometer Breve in Bangalore, which
Right,
is kind of a signature for
right,
riders. And there were 100 plus people out there for that kind of breves. So it's a 1200 ride. So if you imagine that kind of races out there organized in our country, then definitely those people will be, you know, uh, be those people will be the participating in that kind of event. So I think the races, unsupported races format, the people who are doing braves definitely want to challenge themselves for the next level, right? And that I think will be a good platform where unsupported format races are there.
right. And those who don't know about Kishan's last year's performance, just to give you an idea, he clinched the first race in 2023, first ultra cycling race in 2023 last year was Ultra Spice, if I'm not wrong. Then he went to PBP, followed by TCR, and then Deccan Cliffhanger. Is it Kishan? If I'm wrong anywhere?
TCR was the first, and then I went
Then
for PBP.
PVP, yeah, TCR and then PVP. and then Deccan Cliffhanger.
Right.
So practically in all ultra cycling races, he of course finished, and in Ultra Spice and Deccan Cliffhanger, he came first in his category, right?
Yeah.
And 2024 also started with that. So now, given a chance, how do you want to mentor would-be ultra cyclists in India?
Uh, yeah, so I do not do professional coaching out there, right? Because I don't think I'm good teacher out there in terms of cycling, in terms of a structured way of teaching something. But I'm very much open to share whatever I have knowledge. So a lot of people, DM me about any questions, any routes, or any of the some of my experience, the inputs from my experience, right? So I'm really open to, or even I do reply faster than I do in my professional life. So I'm very much open to guiding anyone who is really seeking for knowledge from my experience.
That's great. So now, if we are open to, if you are also open to all the questions answers, so can we just open this forum for questions and answers? Psychology, if you can tell us about some of the questions that we have got from our listeners or viewers right now, so that Kishan can answer it right now at this forum only.
Yeah, thank you, Supratim. So I can see 1-2 questions from few of our uh, viewer. So one question was from Instagram handle Akasa. He was asking that what was the initial steps for planning such kind of races when you are defining your desired route, when the routes options are not fixed. So I would like to hear from Kishan regarding this.
Uh, so practically, I can give you hours and hours of my strategies about route making. But just to give you a brief idea, let's say the events like TCR, they give you start point, end point, and there are 4 different checkpoints in between, and also there are some fixed route nearby checkpoints. They call it parkers, right? So the initial route making happens while joining this just dots, right? Then you see the entire route. That's your base route out there with elevation profile, right? Now, if you see the entire Europe, there will definitely some challenging Alps and etc. included in that route. So you make strategies where how you can avoid a particular hill. So let's say there is a distance of 20 kilometers, but the elevation gain is 500 meters over there. But then you can find an alternate route which goes more 50 kilometers, but the elevation gain is just 100 meters. You make those kind of changes, and you also do that kind of trade-off. Let's say 20-kilometer hill is very steep, then you will choose a longer route, even if it is more 70 kilometers, because doing 17 18 gradients out there just for 20 kilometers, it will be really hard. So at that time you just select a bigger route. So just to give you an example, there was a section where you ride 40 kilometers, but there was a totally gravel section, and the alternate was 200 kilometers, which again was elevations for 200 kilometers, it was almost 4,000 meter of elevation. So I choose that instead of doing gravel, because I was riding with my road bike and it was impractical to do that kind of 40 kilometer of route. So those kind of decisions you to make while planning the route.
Okay. Well, hope our viewers and we got a very decent idea about selecting the route when it's coming to the picture. So we should, I was summarizing, Kisar, what should we understand, that we should consider the gradient, the gravel, the road condition, the traffic, and these kinds of things. And we should act accordingly as per our gadget, as per our own performance, and at which terrain I am
Right.
best comfortable, right?
And
Okay. So next person, yeah, please
yeah,
continue,
sorry.
Kishan.
So also you have to consider kind of creating a backup route. So let's say if you're choosing, let's say you are confident that you will ride 20 kilometer with 16% of gradient, and then also you can use a backup route. So I for the entire route I had a backup route where, let's say if something is failing, some weather is failing, or let's say some so I had the entire 4,000 or 3,700 kilometer of route I viewed in the Google Street View. So in Europe, it's a good thing that you can view the street view using the entire route. But where the street view, there are chances that there are some road works going on, right? So in that cases, the road might be closed or it might be damaged. So I also have a backup route for that kind of scenarios.
Okay, great, great. And thanks a lot, Kishan, for that detailed answer. And hope people will get a very good idea about this when they are dreaming about these kind of things. So I'm coming to the next question. So one guy has asked, what other races are Kishan targeting?
Okay. So right now, I think I'm not in a fitness. I'm in a good fitness, but yeah, definitely for this July, there is a race called VR race. So I'm going for that. It's again a 4,000 kilometer race, starting from uh, starting Spain to Italy. So it's again a bikepacking kind of race, and it's happening for the first time. But yeah, definitely I organizers from my previous interaction, and I'm looking forward for that. And yeah, again in December, if everything goes well, then C2C will try definitely.
Oh, great! It's great to hear that Kishan is also consider our race to come. So it's a great news, guys. So if we are opportunity enough, so we can ride with Kishan. So I will not take much time, Kishan. Here is, I guess, the last question I will ask you from our end, from the viewers end. So here is a very generic question that on India, we heard that Indian cycling is not that much famous in world's levels of eye. So what's Kishan's view on that? And if it is true, then what's the pain points Kishan has identified till now?
Okay, so if you see how many ultra races out there in India, it's really you can count on fingertips, right? And so I had interacted with international riders out there. The main thing is, the popularity. No one knows out there that this kind of races is there. So to all organizers who are organizing this kind of races, you have to uh, you maybe reach out to one-on-one to kind of famous people out there who are doing races, who are professionally doing it races, and for the entire year they so maybe approaching this kind of races, racers will help out to popularize Indian races. And definitely the reason behind going out there and racing for me is to bring people out from there to here. So we have really good terrain. Let's say if I've done GOH, I've done Ultra Spice, and there is also Himalayan Ultra from Inspire India. These are really good races, and the route is amazing. So definitely, if people are coming from outside, they will be really happy riding here. Yeah. So, but the information needs to be passed on. No one knows. That's one of the biggest thing we can take care, and then yeah, definitely it will be popular in future.
Okay. So Kishan, when you were interact with the world's other parts of the people, what's their view on India? Are they really interested to come in and participate in Indian races, or are there anything which is holding them to come in India? Because we can see people from India traveling other countries and they participate there, like even from the South Asian countries like Philippines or Sri Lanka, events are nowadays popular in, but we cannot see that much of participation in India. Have you ever discussed this point with your foreigner
Yeah. So
friends?
it's not like any problem with respect to India. But let's say if I'm not knowing a much detail about any event, then I definitely, the popularization needs to be done there. So let's say what is the participation there in Indian events, right? So let's say if it is not going 50, now for all the European events or any other events, there overwhelming participation, and it's like a lucky draw stuff. Even in TCR, you have to apply for that, and if you're selected, then only you can ride it. So I urge a lot of Indian riders to first participate in our races, make it big, and then we can expect a lot of international participants to ride here. there is no just to answer your question, there is no specific issues with our India or anything. It's not like that. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's a sports mindset. I said, as a sportsman, no one will be barricade any countries or any other places to participate. But we need, what we understand from Kishan's talks, that we need to popularize our events, and we should give a good example to the other countries, so that people will be attracted definitely. Right, Kishan? So the questions are not ending. So as I told, I am going to ask you the last question, but in the meantime, I have got another two questions. So would you like to answer
Yeah, sure.
those? I want to
Yeah.
take your permission. So question is, one rider is asking, can you please share your training plan for the event? Also, how much was indoor and outdoor?
So I basically professionally I work as a freelance consultant. So my kind of work schedule is very much flexible, and that helps me really. Definitely it's hectic, but most of my TCR training happened on indoor riding. So weekdays I train 5 days indoor, and then outdoor long rides. That was the typical schedule for me. So for the long rides, I just target more than 100 kilometers with as much as elevation in there, because for TCR, right? So just to give you a brief idea, it was like 3,700 kilometers, and the elevation gain was almost 50,000 meters. So there was a huge elevation, and I really wanted to, you know, keep riding the steep hills around us, around where I was staying in Pune. So that was the idea. Yeah. So a typical training plan was just indoor for 5 days with a specific training plan, and then 2 days outdoor just to cook my legs.
That's great, Kishan. Could you please put some light that how much hours you spend initial days and at your peak of your performance days in indoor and outdoor to prepare your 3,700 kilometers of race as an overall generic
Yeah.
idea, so people can align themselves
Okay.
as per that.
So outdoors were almost like 6 hours a day. So it's like 2 days. You can count 12 hours for weekend, and then typically 1 to 2 hours in indoor for 5 days. So it's like you can consider. Uh,
5 cross 10 hours and 12 hours, so 22 hours
yeah.
in a week at maximum, right? So hope our viewers and our listeners got a very good idea from Kishan's, that how much time he has spent dedicatedly for his preparation. And I believe beyond this, you are also attached with some strength and training and cross training or other things, if I'm not wrong.
Sadly not. So that's my weakness actually, and I'm working on that right now. So I
Okay.
haven't incorporated any strength or any mobility training earlier, but right now I'm just as you are as I say, like I'm participating in this VR race in July. So I'm starting the strength training, etc. Just to because I have this knee issue where my knee was paining after at a mid ride, right? So that's why I just started this.
Okay. So, do you have do you have any special thing for mental strengthening? Because people say that ultra endurance are more about mental than physical.
Yeah, so there is no specific training, but my life is the mental training. So
Okay.
just to give, while planning TCR till 1 at the night, I was doing my work, and then I start my route planning till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then just I went outside for the ride. So my entire, like, even from the April to July, everything was too much hectic, and I was too much prepared mentally with that. So there's no specific training mentally, but yeah, I think there's also element of your inner drive out there. The grit you have in you, that matters a lot. Other than if you do even if you are weak a bit in strength, I think you can compensate with that kind of inner strength you have.
Great, great. So, Kishan, the questions are really flooding, because people have got that opportunity to get such person with us over the live. So people don't want to waste the things, but I feel that somehow that much of question cannot be covered in a single session. So I'm handing over to Supratim. And Supratim,
Yeah.
what we can do, we can list down all unattended
Right.
question today and send a mail to Kishan so that get a right
Absolutely.
the feedback, the answers, so that people can, and we can post in our handle. So in psychology and C2C and Kishan's handle will definitely post that, so that people will get their answer. Those questions we are not able to attend today. Yeah, the questions was very much people don't think that we have not attended your question. That does not mean that the questions are silly or something. Each and every
Right.
questions I can see, there are very nice picked questions. Those there are some funny questions are there, like Kishan, have you already married or not? These kind of questions are there. Whereas the very good questions, like means every questions are good. Even their question is also good. I believe there was some intention that to get the asked whether you are getting how much support you are getting from your partners or from family. These kind of things, maybe intention of that. Anyway, I'm not going to make the discussion long. I'm handing over to Supratim. Supratim and Kishan, please go away. Go ahead.
No,
Go
just
ahead,
one
please.
question that I had in mind, I should have asked you earlier also, that did you pursue any other sport, like then you came to cycling or something like that? Because people have run marathon, or maybe you have done mountaineering or such other sports that you have already pursued, and then you came to ultra cycling.
Not specific to sport. I did training from HMI Darjeeling for basic mountain,
Okay.
right? And then I really wanted to pursue sports climbing out there, but at that time I was staying in Ahmedabad, right? And there's an ecosystem around to train for. Just found it cycling, and then I just continued. So it's not like I had any background with sports. I just happened to it.
Okay, in fact, our race ends almost at HMI. So come to Coast to Crest and visit HMI or another time. You can always pursue another course at HMI. So HMI is always there. So great to talk to you, Kishan, on this live, and all the best for your next race in Europe, in Italy.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, one last invitation to take part in C2C, and we hope that we can host you best as per our
Yeah,
West Bengal hospitality.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay. Best of luck. Yeah.
hosting me, and yeah, definitely I like to share my knowledge as much as possible, because it's like I spent hours and hours to
Right.
I just keep nudging a lot of people with questions who are really experienced in this field, and whatever I gathered, I really like to share with everyone. So if anyone wants to know anything, definitely just DM me, and I'll help you out with whatever knowledge I have.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Kishan. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye.